India putting a halt and containing some of that water flow and then releasing it, which may have resulted in a flood-like situation in the low-lying areas of Jhelum and its the tributaries of Indus River. And more news coming in as the conflict began. There's been a lot of misinformation that, in circulation in India and elsewhere. We bring you some of the fact checks to help you sort what's real from what's fake. And on your screens right now, a fact check that has been put out by PIB. Was there a drone attack in Jalandhar? To that, the video of a drone strike in Jalandhar, which is widely being circulated, PIB says this is an unrelated video of a farm fire. The video was shot earlier and the drone attack began later. So no, there was no drone strike video from Jalandhar. There is no drone strike in Jalandhar. So the visuals that you're seeing on your screens right now, on the right of that fire is likely a farm fire. The second round of fact check that PIB has made is that of a social media post falsely claiming that Indian military used Ambala Air Base. Another news that's coming in from PIB is that fake news circulating about a Fidaiin attack on an army brigade in Rajouri in Jammu. Now, PIB has fact-checked it. It says that no such Fidaiin or suicide attack has happened on any army cantonment area. On your screens, of course, that fact check that's been put out by PIB suggesting that there was, in fact, no Fidaiin attack. Next, a letter has been shared on social media claiming that Chief of the Army Staff V.K. Narayan has sent a confidential letter regarding military preparedness to the Army officer of Northern Commandant. This letter is also completely fake. So on your screens, that letter is in fact a fake and is not an official letter issued by the Indian Army. And a fact check that has come in by PIB, a social media post falsely claiming that Indian military used Ambala Air Base to attack Amritsar and its own citizen. Again, completely baseless and a part of a concrete misinformation campaign, a concerted campaign by perhaps Pakistani trolls. There is absolutely no Indian military base that has been used by India to target its own people. Another round of fact check by PIB is that social media posts are claiming that entry to airports across India has been banned. Again, this is fake. Some airports are closed, details of which we'll share with you very, very shortly, but no, airport entries are not banned. So there you have it, the PIB fact-checking some of those crucial news items, a flurry of which is currently floating on social media. And let's keep a track of that. It's very essential for everybody today to prepare to ensure that we don't fall prey to a volley of fake news item being shared on social media. So be particular before you share any of those news items. It might as well be fake.
हमारे मित्र थे राम राम अभी ये रोज का ही चालू है.
All right, as I come to the end of this broadcast, Air Marshal VPS Rana continues to be with me. Air Marshal, let's sum this up for our viewers, shall we? What we're looking at right now is an escalation and Pakistan seemed to be eyeing up the escalatory ladder and not stopping its attacks. And you know, we continue to share all those details. So I have to ask you, if in a point-blank fashion, where do you see this heading from here?
See, it is anybody's guess, but this is very important point to take home is that the low-cost warfare is the reality in today's warfare tactics and the doctrine. Particularly use of the drones all over. You have seen, if you people follow what is happening in Ukraine, Russia, what's also happening in Russia, in Israel with the Hamas attacks, and we see the imprint of those kind of things here. In fact, your picture right now is as if it's a similar kind of attacks that Hamas generally has been doing, and all other attacks also that's happening on Israel. These are low cost warfare which can carry on for days and years. So we are here for that kind of warfare. We must be very, very well warned that this could continue for a much longer than we decide, than we expect, unless we really go serious and strike them where it hits them very, very hard. We are trying through the signaling, we are trying through our precise attacks, but despite that, it could actually be long drawn. Another dimension to this by Pakistan is now almost integrating terror into their war doctrine. It's a well-known fact that they are using terror network, they are using terrorists for putting for the objectives of their nation.
Right.
So these are the two things that we really have to be wary of. That it could be much longer in this spectrum
Right.
than getting into something very serious.
Right.
I
Marshal,
wish
does
something
this also
serious
set a
comes.
precedent, sir? Does it also set a precedent every time Pakistan uses sub-conventional methods like terrorism or a proxy war by the way of terrorism, there's going to be military action. And this hasn't really happened, come to think of it. I think for all the viewers right now, it's also important to understand this is the first time that Indian government, its armed forces, have taken it head on. Up until now, we gave out dossiers, we gave out proofs, we conducted investigations. But despite that, I think it has met with little to no change. And so this time around, I think Indian government, Indian armed forces have flipped the game, suggesting sub-conventional measures will be met with conventional force.
Absolutely, very, very rightly said. And I think that's the best thing to do. We must make it very clear that any action by terrorists will be an act of war. And for that matter, even the kind of drone attacks which Pakistan has been denying for all these, even in for these drones and also for the terrorists. But we must be apprised that all these actions are their part of their doctrine. And we must respond to this as a war act. And I think then only probably the lesson would go. And I think we have done pretty well this time, signaling that any of these actions will not go unpunished, and we will respond as if this has been an act of war on us. We haven't declared it a war yet, but all our actions have been very, very precise, calculated, and probably driving home the point to Pakistan that none of this we will take that this is not your doing. It is absolutely your doing. Anything that emanates from Pakistan is an act of war, and that is how we should take it, and that's how we should respond to it.
All right, that is how we should take it. That is how we should respond to it. Marshal, before I let you go, I think it's also important to understand India's actions so far, and India continues to say have been responsible, measured, but that hasn't been the case since yesterday. Since yesterday, I believe we've started retaliating to every time there's been an attack. So be it an attack on the 15 Indian cities along the western border to the attacks that we saw overnight, there could be some sort of retaliatory action from India. We don't know whether operations were on, are being on, carried on in Karachi, Islamabad. Those reports are not confirmed. We'll wait for that confirmation yet. But I have to ask you, sir, if it comes to a warlike situation, what is the eventuality we are looking at?
See, eventually Pakistan does not hold good as far as the conventional war is concerned. When the war goes to a much serious level where your missiles and your aircrafts and your army actually getting into the contact battle, I think once it gets to that serious end of the business, then Pakistan will be a loser all along. And that is precisely what their strategy right now is, that they would probably want to just play likewise and going in the model of the Ukraine and Hamas war, that you continue doing this low cost warfare and try to keep that
India
we
engaged.
entire populace in that state of panic and
Right.
fear. But I think we are doing in a very well measured, calculated fashion. When we attacked Lahore, Karachi, Rawalpindi, all these places, also there have been attack without any collateral damage whatsoever. They have been very precise. We have not doing any indiscriminate act so far. But once it comes to a serious business of the larger missiles being fired or the aircraft doing the airstrikes deep inside, then I think things would be a little out of control. And that is precisely what I think Pakistan is not looking at. They somehow wanting to just keep the pot boiling and keep it simmering and keep doing this low cost warfare. And we
Right.
should be very obvious that we should not let this
Absolutely.
get